With the parliament dissolved, we are only weeks away from choosing the next Malaysian government. Are Malaysians ready to vote? How will voter turnout affect the party's standing? Political analyst Professor Dr Sivamurugan Pandian answers these burning questions.
If it's held before November 15, which is most likely, the turnout will be better than if it is held after November 15, as we were told we may face the worst monsoon season ever. And I think compared to GE14, we may see less turnout because the momentum, the wow factor, the good feel factor does not compromise with any political parties. If you relook at the way it was campaigned throughout G14, we saw there were a momentum build until the election day, which we couldn't see just yet. And I think any government which is going to have election uh, during flood season may lose credibility if it fails to manage flood effectively.
Other than that, Siva also touched on the low voter turnout factor, which may be advantageous to Barisan Nasional.
Normally, looking at the patterns throughout the 14 elections, if it is a low turnout, it is an advantage for Barisan Nasional. If it is a high turnout, as what we saw in G14, for the first time, Pakatan Harapan could win because the turnout reached almost 80%. And if it is lesser than 70%, which I think would be the similar pattern as before G14, as for now, it will be an advantage for Barisan Nasional unless Pakatan Harapan or any other political coalition would be able to convince the young voters, especially the Undi 18, and also the first timer, to come out and vote for themselves. I think the target now is about 30% of the fence-sitters, whether they would still evaluate until the 11th hour how they should focus on their voting pattern, who should they give their votes, whether they would be able to see a more stable and certain government after the general election. I think what worries most uh, the political parties are not only the readiness, but to what extent they could minimize the internal sabotage, minimize the internal crisis, the internal bickering that could also bring down the votes that they expect from the voters.